We're Kaka in Munning, and we're travelling around the world. Follow us. Medieval walls, Basque culture, streets with centuries of history, and one of the most authentic cities in the French Basque Country. Today, we're entering Bayonne, a city where France and Euskadi blend in a way that we didn't expect at all. And what we're going to find inside these walls will surprise us much more than we imagined. We're at the Gate of Spain, one of the historic entrances to the walls of Bayonne. And honestly, we didn't expect to find a city like this because behind these walls lies one of the cities with the most personality in the whole French Basque Country. Medieval streets, traditional houses, a Basque atmosphere everywhere, and a fantastic mix of French history and Basque culture. Bayonne, or Bayonne in Basque, was for centuries a strategic point between France and the Iberian Peninsula, and even today it retains that border character that makes it completely different from other French cities. So let's head inside its walls, because this place looks very promising. The city of Bayonne, which isn't very big, is divided in two. Grand Bayonne, where we're heading right now, which is where the cathedral and the historic centre are. And Petit Bayonne, which is the university area where there's more of a bar scene. Bayonne is curious because it's France, politically it's France, but in spirit it's totally Basque. And that's because we're in the French Basque Country. What do the natives of Bayonne feel they are? Basque. Either way, Bayonne is known for two things. It was the first chocolate centre in Europe, so it's known for Bayonne chocolate, and something else entirely different but just as tasty, Bayonne ham. And although it has some quite aged areas on the outside, the Cathedral of St Mary remains one of the most impressive buildings in Bayonne. The rose windows, the columns and the whole structure retain that Gothic style, so typical of many great French cathedrals. In fact, much of what we see today began to be built more than 700 years ago. The Cathedral of St Mary of Bayonne is Gothic, and construction began in the 13th century on the remains of an earlier Romanesque cathedral. It's part of the French way of the Camino de Santiago via the Turonensis route and is declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And upon entering, the atmosphere changes completely. The cathedral's much more understated than we expected. Dark stone, soaring ceilings, and a rather cold and silent feel. Well, the entrance is a bit gloomy, but it's not much better inside. It looks like it could do with quite a bit of maintenance work. Onward through Bayonne. Today's Saturday, it looks promising as there's quite a street flow. The French Basque Country is called Iparralde and isn't an administrative region as such. Those who live here feel both Basque and French, and it's completely normal. The Basque spoken here has a different accent to the one spoken on the other side in Spain. In fact, in schools you can have education in Spy, in French, in Basque, or a bilingual mode. It's actually curious because for those of us who know the wonderful Basque Country, beautiful, great food, lovely to visit, it's true that this duality exists. We're among houses. I mean, you're seemingly in any French village like the ones we've seen with timber-framed houses. And yet, it's true that you feel the tavern spirit, the Basque atmosphere, the signs in Basque. It's a very curious mix. Here, just across the river, is the Basque Museum of Bayonne, which explains what traditional Basque life was like and the historical importance of the port and trade in this city. We cross the river and head to Les Halles, the agricultural market of Bayonne. Well, here we are at Bayonne Central Market, active for centuries in this very area. The current building is from the 19th century, although the market already existed in the Middle Ages. Basque and French products are mixed here. It's not just a local market, it's also a border market. Many stalls belong to direct producers, not large distributors. Here it's typical to find Sheets cheese, Espelette pepper, Bayonne ham, duck, and products from the French southwest. The market, which in Basque is azoka, is a place not just for shopping, but for chatting and meeting up. So, charcuterie board, an assortment of local cured meats. The Espelette and the Bayonne ham. And another thing that really defines Bayonne is its gastronomy. Here, the food doesn't seem like something prepared for tourists, but part of daily life. Cured meats, wines, local products, and above all, that market atmosphere where people come more to enjoy and socialise than simply to shop. We're standing in front of the town hall. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly in the footage, but some of the statues up there still have, at the end of January, Santa hats on. We also find it curious that the town hall doesn't have any kind of flag. In any case, we're right where the two rivers meet. Historically, this was the commercial and social heart of the city, and today it's still one of the liveliest areas, with bars and terraces. Let's see if we can find them, because for now we only see this one and it's quite quiet. We're heading to the confluence of the rivers in search of that lively area. For the moment, we can see that this area here is looking rather neglected. Also, the humidity in the area means that everything is always so damp. Okay, now we're at the side of the town hall. This appears to be the front section of the area, and now, as we look ahead, we can clearly see them. Those are the Basque, European and French flags, all displayed together. Although it's not the liveliest area we've come across. We've come from the centre, from the port area and where the market is, and at least on Saturdays, that's where the buzz is, especially in the morning and until midday. Now, as midday passes, many of the bars are already starting to pack up. So if you want to enjoy the atmosphere, come in the morning and stay until midday. And here we have the confluence of the two rivers. Another very curious thing about Bayonne, it's 100% silent public transport. There are places where traditions are taught in museums and others where they simply remain alive in the street. And Bayonne is one of them. As we walked through the historic centre, we started to hear voices coming from the bars and the streets at Grand Bayonne. People singing in groups, many of them elderly, maintaining a custom deeply linked to the atmosphere and soul of the Basque Country. Here in the French Basque Country, singing is part of the cultural identity. There's no need for a stage or an organised concert. Sometimes a table, some friends and a few drinks are enough for the songs to start. Many of these songs are sung in Euskera, one of the oldest languages in Europe and one of the greatest symbols of Basque culture. Although Euskera Batua, the unified version of the language, exists today, many older people still use traditional dialects specific to this area of the French Basque Country. And that's precisely the beauty of places like Bayonne, which still preserve real customs, not staged for tourists, but born from entire generations who have kept their culture alive, sharing it among friends, in the streets and in the bars. Well, in Trinquet Street, one of those things happens that we've been saying all along, where being in France meets the feeling of being in the Basque Country. And it's called Trinquet Street because one of the trinkets was here, which is basically one of those places where Basque pelota was played, one of the oldest and most traditional sports in the French Basque Country. That one right there. This is the street, and look at the curious things we find on the corner. To be honest, the street itself isn't pretty, but Basque pelota was played here when Bayonne was a port and a working-class city. And maybe that's why we've liked Bayonne so much, because beyond how beautiful it is, it still preserves something that many cities lost long ago, its own identity. It's no coincidence that Bayonne is one of the great historical landmarks for Basque pelota. Here, traditions are still very much a part of daily life. And while you watch a match in the heart of the French Basque Country, you understand that Bayonne isn't just a pretty city to visit, it's a place that still has a soul.